What if you woke up one winter morning and the power was out for days? No heat, no lights, no internet. In the 2021 Texas freeze, over 200 people died from freezing homes, not the storm. Welcome back to Frugal Prepping. Today, I'm sharing 12 critical winter survival items you need before the 2025 grid failure. Affordable, practical tools that keep you and your family warm, safe, and prepared. Stick around. Some of these could save your life. 1. Propane heaters. Let's start with a classic, and often life-saving, backup heat source, a small propane heater. Imagine the power's out, it's late, and you're staring at a thermometer that keeps falling. In that moment, a propane heater becomes pure gold. It can warm a single room quickly, doesn't rely on electricity, and propane tanks hold their fuel for years. Picture this. Your neighbors are shivering in layered blankets, their heating system's dead. Meanwhile, you've sealed off a room, cracked a window just a bit for fresh air, and flicked on the heater. The warmth fills your space, and though the rest of the house is freezing, you're comfortable. That contrast, you warm, others cold, is the difference between panic and calm, between suffering and preparedness. But, and this matters, a heater that's used improperly can turn from lifesaver to hazard. According to the U.S. Fire Administration, portable heater use in homes accounted for an average of about 1,100 fires per year from 2017 to 2019, causing roughly 65 deaths and 150 injuries annually. Tragically, portable heaters were responsible for 41% of all fatal heating equipment-related fires, even though they represented only about 3% of heating fires overall. Here's what you must do. Choose a heater rated for indoor use, make sure the fuel tank is secured and stored safely, place the unit well away from curtains, bedding, furniture, anything combustible. The USFA found that nearly half of portable heater fires started because the heater was too close to something that could burn. Always crack a window to prevent carbon monoxide buildup and keep a CO detector running. When used correctly, one $100-ish propane heater might save your life. It's not flashy, not high-tech, but in the dark freeze, it could be the one thing that keeps you warm when everything else fails. While your neighborhood battles chill and fear, you'll be holding steady in warmth. You'll be ready. 2. Kerosene heaters. Let's talk about something that feels old school but works like a champ when everything else fails. A kerosene heater. Picture this. Power is out, you're facing a long winter night, and your home is getting colder by the hour. In that moment, a properly used kerosene heater can become the lifeline you didn't know you needed. During the devastating 1998 North America ice storm, when entire towns were cut off for days, kerosene heaters kept people alive. Without grid power, without the usual heat systems working, towns battled freezing homes and numb fingers. The people who fared best? Those who had reliable backup heat. That's real life, not just theory. Here's what you need to know. Use only 1 K-grade kerosene, never substitute. According to Extension research, portable space heaters using kerosene or propane emit carbon monoxide and other gases if not ventilated properly. The difference between safe and fatal often comes down to ventilation and correct fuel. The stats back it up. The National Fire Protection Association found that heating equipment causes about 1 in 7 home fires and nearly 19% of home fire deaths. So yes, kerosene heaters are effective, but they're not without risk. Let's get practical. You pick a room, seal off doors and windows as much as you safely can, and use the heater there. Crack a window just enough to allow fresh air in. Place the heater away from curtains, bedding, and anything combustible. According to U.S. Extension advice, indoor fuel-burning heaters need fresh air exchange, or you risk CO exposure. Here's the wall of awareness. You've got warmth and resilience on one side, but on the other side is fire risk, carbon monoxide danger, and fuel errors. It's not about fear, it's about respect. When you respect the tool and the fuel, you buy yourself hours, days of comfort when the worst happens. So if you're prepping for the long haul, make sure you've got a certified kerosene heater, plenty of 1K fuel, a safe setup, and a room you can call your warm zone. Because when the storm hits and the house is freezing, you don't just want some heat, you want the right heat, safely used. 3. Wood stoves. Let's peel back the covers and talk about the powerhouse backup heat source, the wood stove. If you live in a rural or semi-rural area, this can truly be your survival engine. Imagine a cold winter night, the grid's down, the furnace silent, and you're sitting by your stove, fire glowing, warmth radiating, kettle boiling, clothes drying. That's what a good wood stove gives you. It heats, cooks, dries, and sustains. Here's the reality. According to the U.S. Fire Administration, there were around 32,200 home heating fires in the U.S. in 2021, resulting in roughly 190 deaths and hundreds of millions in property loss. Many of those fires involve stoves and fireplaces because folks skip maintenance or burn unseasoned wood. So yes, you can rely on the wood stove, but it demands respect. Why is this so good for blackout situations? Because unlike electric or gas systems, it doesn't depend on the grid. Stack up dry, seasoned firewood ahead of time, store it under cover, plan for moisture control. And you've got fuel that lasts if the lights go out. The old school pioneers did exactly this through brutal winters. They weren't fancy, but they were ready. Why can't we learn from them? Here's how you use it smart. Pick an EPA certified model if you can, for efficiency and safety. Make sure your chimney and flue are cleaned and inspected annually. Store wood at a safe distance from the home, and always maintain adequate airflow and clearance from combustibles. The data tell us that many wood stove and fireplace fires trace back to creosote buildup or poor ventilation. So when the wind howls, the temperatures dive, and your furnace is silent, you won't just be coping. You'll be thriving in that one room you prepared. While others wrap themselves in blankets, you're sipping warm cocoa by the fire, reading by lamplight, and sleeping in comfort. That's not luck, it's preparation. 4. Pellet stoves, gravity-fed models. Let's be honest, in a winter grid failure, relying on something that needs power is always risky. Most pellet stoves today run on electricity, augers feeding pellets, fans blowing heat. But there's a game changer, gravity-fed models. These feed themselves by gravity and don't depend on plugs to keep running. That makes them a serious contender when things go sideways. Here's why they matter. According to the United States Environmental Protection Agency, certified pellet stoves operate in the 70% to 83% efficiency range. In plain terms, they turn a lot of the fuel you add into usable warmth, more so than many other solid fuel sources. That efficiency means less fuel, less mess, fewer refills, and more focus on staying warm instead of reloading constantly. Picture this scene. The power's out, the wind's howling, the house is cooling down. You head to the room where you've installed a gravity-fed pellet stove. You open the hopper, let the pellets drop until the fire is going, and you lean back. The flames flicker, the warmth radiates, you're dry, you're comfortable. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the house, people are curling under blankets, wearing coats indoors, bringing pets inside because the cold's sneaking in. You made the prep choice ahead of time, and now you're benefiting. Now yes, it's not magic. Even gravity-fed stoves need venting, safe installation, and good fuel. The EPA pointed out that typical pellet stoves do require electricity for motors and blowers, so you have to choose one of the few true gravity models if you want no plug backup. Also, keep your hopper full, store pellets dry, keep ash cleared, and inspect the vent. A high-efficiency unit that's clogged or starved of air won't perform as promised. In the prepping world, this is a smart upgrade. Minimal effort, consistent heat, less tending. When the grid goes down, you won't just be making do with blankets. You'll be living in warmth. 5. Charcoal and clay pot heaters. Let's talk about a low-cost, clever backup option that many preppers overlook, because it does involve a trade-off. But when the grid fails and desperation kicks in, this trick can still serve. We're talking about using a few clay pots, a metal rack, and some charcoal. Set it up in a safe, well-ventilated room, and you've got a compact heater that costs next to nothing. Imagine this. The lights are out. The house is getting colder. Your more serious heater options are offline or fuel is limited. While your neighbors are climbing into layers of blankets, you've pulled together this simple system. In a tucked corner, you've got charcoal burning under clay pots, thermal mass holding heat. You sit, warm, alert, not just enduring the night. Now, here's the big but. You must ventilate. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention clearly warns, never burn charcoal indoors. Why? Because burning charcoal produces carbon monoxide, the odorless, colorless killer. The fact is, More than 400 Americans die each year from unintentional CO poisoning not linked to fires. That means the margin for error here is razor thin. So how do you do this safely? First, choose a small space you can seal off. Crack open a window, keep a door partially ajar, or a vent open. Ensure fresh airflow. Use charcoal in a container on a non-combustible surface. Raise it on a metal rack. Place clay pots over it to hold and radiate heat. Never leave it unattended, especially overnight. Use a working CO detector and keep something ready to extinguish the fire quickly. What makes it compelling? Low cost, easy to store materials. It can help warm a space when your bigger systems fail. The prep mindset says, have backups for your backups. This isn't the main heating solution, but in that worst case blackout scenario, it could buy you hours of comfort, keep you alert, keep you safe. In short, this DIY heater is a Plan C option. Not ideal, but effective when you're pushed. Use it smart, ventilate it properly, and treat the risk with respect. Because when the grid is down and only your creativity stands between freeze and survival, every tool counts. 6. Candle heaters. So here's one that might sound almost too simple, but in the right situation, it could be a lifeline. We're talking about candle heaters, a few tea lights, some clay pots, set up smartly in a small room, and suddenly you've got a heat source that costs almost nothing. Imagine it's the dead of winter, the power's out, the house is getting colder by the hour, and your main heating backup isn't working. While others are shivering in layers, you're in a room with a warm glow, a quiet hum of heat, and a sense of calm. This trick is not meant to replace a full heating system, but for short-term emergencies, it can make a huge difference. A $5 setup? Yes. 2 or 3 tea lights placed under inverted clay pots on a metal rack, draped with a thick blanket for radiant warmth, all in one corner of your warm zone. But here's the catch. Fire risk and air quality risk are real. According to the National Fire Protection Association, candles were involved in a notable portion of home fire incidents. About 2% of reported home fires, 3% of home fire deaths, and 5% of home fire injuries annually. And it's not just fire. The Environmental Protection Agency and other air quality studies show that burning candles, especially scented or paraffin-based, can significantly raise indoor particulate matter levels, meaning reduced ventilation equals higher risk. The practical way to do this: pick the smallest room you can seal off, place the setup on a non-combustible surface, keep it at least 3 feet from curtains, bedding, or anything flammable, USFA's heating safety rule. Crack a window or keep a door slightly open for airflow and have a carbon monoxide or smoke detector nearby. Don't leave it unattended or burn it all night without supervision, because when the blackout hits, when the house feels like an icebox, that $5 candle heater might be the thing that keeps you alert enough to get through the night calmly. It's not glamorous, but in prepping, the simple tricks often make the biggest difference. 7. Butane or camping stoves. All right, let's walk through a smart backup heat tool that many overlook because it's usually stocked for cooking, not heating: a good old butane or camping stove. Technically, these are designed to cook, but in a pinch, they radiate enough heat to help warm a small room. Fuel canisters are compact, easy to store, and when the blackout hits, your camping gear becomes part of your survival kit. Picture this: the lights go out, winter winds sweep in, and your home's temperature is slipping. The main heater is out, blankets are piling up, and your options are shrinking. You pull your camping stove out of storage, set it up on a metal tray or non-combustible surface in a sealed, warm zone room, light it safely, with proper ventilation, and suddenly you've got heat. While other rooms are dropping into the 40s or lower, you've got one space you can lean into. But, and this is critical, safety matters. Recent research out of the University of Louisville found that stoves using isobutane/propane fuel in an enclosed space, like a 3-season tent, produced mean CO levels of more than 100 parts per million in some cases, levels that OSHA would consider unsafe. And government safety agencies often warn portable butane stove canisters should never be used indoors or in confined spaces because of the carbon monoxide risk. So how do you use the camping stove safely for heat? Set it in your warm zone on a sturdy, fireproof surface. Crack a window or leave a vent open to allow fresh air. Don't sequester the stove in a totally sealed room without CO detection. Make sure the flame is clean and blue. A yellow or orange flame may signal incomplete combustion and higher CO output. monitor your carbon monoxide detector, and never leave the stove unattended. Why this matters in prepping. Fuel canisters take up little space. They don't degrade quickly compared to some liquid fuels, and after the crisis, you can still use the gear for camping or outdoor cooking. This is lean prep, multi-purpose gear that serves daily life and emergency scenarios. While others are scrambling for heat sources, you'll have something warm, efficient, and ready. Use it smart, respect the fuel, ventilate like it matters, because it does. When the grid fails, your camping stove might just be one of the most practical, unexpected tools in your survival. Arsenal 8. Thermal mass. All right, here's a survival trick that doesn't rely on fancy fuel or power. Thermal mass. In simple terms, that means using materials that hold heat and release it slowly. Think metal containers or water jugs filled with hot water, wrapped in towels, placed near your feet or under blankets. And suddenly you have a heat battery working for you. Picture the scene. The blackout hits late at night. The whole house is starting to feel like the inside of a freezer. You've sealed off one small room, bundled up in layers, and you've got 2 large jugs of hot water. Tucked under the blanket, they're radiating warmth against your feet, heat you can feel on your skin, while the rest of the house is dropping degrees. You breathe in relief instead of a rising panic. Why it works. According to well-documented building science sources, water has about twice the heat storage capacity of concrete by volume. What does that mean for you? It means a couple of water jugs are essentially tiny heat banks you charge while the power's still on, or you heat them on a safe backup source, and then draw from when everything else fails. Here's how to do it smart. Use sturdy metal or thick plastic jugs, rated for heat, and fill them with the hottest water you can safely manage. Wrap each one in towels or blankets. This slows the release of heat and gives them thermal lag, so they radiate steadily instead of cooling off fast. Place them at your feet or around your body under blankets in your warm zone. Insulate your space, hang blankets over doors and windows, reduce drafts, keep everyone close together. This method isn't going to heat an entire house, but it will buy you hours of comfort and alertness. The kind of hours when decisions matter, when you can stay awake, stay warm, stay stable. The prep mindset teaches you don't always need dramatic gear. Sometimes you just need smart tricks that amplify what you already have. And when the night is cold, these prepared jugs of heat might just be one of the quietest, most effective tools in your survival kit. While your neighbors toss blankets and shiver, you could be sipping tea, feeling warmth radiating below you, calm as the storm rages outside. 9. Oil-filled radiators with solar or battery backup. Let's talk about a backup heating option that doesn't get enough attention, but when you've got even a modest solar or battery setup, it can really shine. I'm referring to an oil-filled radiator. Yes, it's technically electric, but hear me out. This type of heater retains heat in its oil reservoir and keeps radiating warmth long after power dips or fluctuates. That makes it perfect for your warm zone strategy when the grid fails. Picture this. The lights go out during a winter storm, your furnace stops working, and the wind's howling outside. You've got a small solar panel and battery system already wired for backup. You plug in a compact oil-filled radiator into your inverter. The heater powers up, the oil inside warms up, and then even if your battery output drops, or you switch to conservation mode, the unit keeps radiating heat. You're huddled in your insulated room, cozy and calm, while the rest of the house is doing its best to stay warm. Here's what the data tells us. According to a recent energy efficiency review, oil-filled radiators continue to radiate warmth even after the unit has stopped drawing power. Additionally, industry market reports show the North American oil-filled heater market is growing, driven by people looking for energy, efficient, durable secondary heating solutions. That means these aren't just gimmicks. They're smart tools for long-term survival prep. Now, safety and strategy matter. Because yes, they're still electric, so you'll need an inverter and battery sized for the wattage. To make it work for prep, pick an insulated room, keep doors and windows sealed as much as safe, place the radiator away from bedding and curtains, and pair it with a carbon monoxide and smoke detector just for peace of mind. Since these units don't blow hot air like fan heaters, they're silent and keep humidity levels better. Less dry air, less shivering, more comfort. In simple terms, if you've set up a small solar or battery backup and want quiet, safe, efficient warmth in a blackout, an oil-filled radiator is a strategy you can live with. While others are scrambling for blankets and space heaters plugged into dead circuits, you'll be sitting steady, warm, and alert, ready. 10. Portable gas fireplaces. Let's get real for a moment. When the power goes out and the house starts turning into an icebox, what you want is instant warmth and a sense of safety. That's where a portable gas fireplace, especially a vent-free or small direct vent unit, can become one of your smartest prepping moves. With access to propane or natural gas and the right setup, you've got a backup solution that's quick, effective, and emotionally powerful. Because that glow matters when everything else is dark. Here's how this plays out. Blackout hits, wind is howling, your furnace is silent. You don't have time to rig a full heating system. You clear one room, bring the fuel line in, or hook a propane cylinder. Ignite your portable gas fireplace, and just like that, you've got flame, warmth, and morale. While your neighbors are wrapped in blankets, you're grounded in heat. Now, let's talk safety and why it's more than just comfort. The National Fire Protection Association reports that every year heating equipment fires account for hundreds of deaths and billions of dollars in damage. And when you're using combustion devices indoors, especially vent-free models, you're dealing with indoor air quality issues, things like water vapor, nitrogen dioxide, carbon monoxide. For example, the American Society of Heating, Refrigerating, and Air Conditioning Engineers states that unvented combustion devices should never be used as your only source of heat because of these indoor air risks. So how do you do this right? First, choose a model that's certified by the American National Standards Institute or similar. Those safety features matter. Then install it in a room you can seal off, crack a window, or provide fresh air intake so combustion air comes in and byproducts go out. Yes, even vent-free units need air. For propane, ensure your cylinder is upright, connections are tight, and you have a functioning CO detector nearby. Keep furnishings and curtains at least 3 feet away. In that moment when the cold creeps in and hope is fading, you'll have a flame flickering in your safe zone, a place where you and your family breathe easier, feel warmer, stay calmer. If you've got access to gas fuel and you prep this ahead of time, a portable gas fireplace isn't just a cozy upgrade, it's a life zone built in your home. 11. Alcohol heaters. All right, here's one that sounds almost too simple to be useful, but in the right emergency, a DIY alcohol heater can be a smart, compact backup when everything else fails. Picture this. The power's out, your main heating system is down, you're bundled in blankets, but you've got a small metal container filled with rubbing alcohol, set safely on a tray in your warm zone, and suddenly you're radiating heat in a space that would otherwise feel freezing. Not full house heat, but enough to make a real difference. These setups are portable, clean burning relatively speaking, and double as an emergency cooking source when used correctly. For example, you've got a saucepan over the container, you're boiling water or heating soup, and you're generating both heat and food. It taps into dual survival needs. That said, safety is everything. The data are clear. According to the Consumer Product Safety Commission, in 2020, there were 33 deaths linked to portable heaters. Meanwhile, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports that over 100,000 people in the U.S. visit emergency departments every year for unintentional carbon monoxide poisoning, and more than 400 die annually. Why does this matter? Because even a small fuel-burning device indoors can create CO or fire hazards if you're not vigilant. Here's how to use the alcohol heater smartly. Choose a sturdy metal container, place it on a fireproof tray, set it out of reach of children and pets, and make sure your room has fresh air ventilation, e.g., crack a window. Have a working CO detector in the same room. Keep the burning time short, never leave it unattended, and avoid using it in sealed areas or without airflow. In prepping terms, a $10 setup, some fuel stored, knowledge in use. It won't replace your main heater, but it can buy you hours of comfort when the grid fails. When your house is inching toward freezing and panic is creeping in, this small heater might turn a nightmare into a manageable night. Use it wisely, respect it, because the difference between staying alert and staying helpless can come down to the small things. 12. Body heat and insulation. Let's wrap this up with something you already carry inside you, your own body heat. This is the oldest, simplest, most reliable heat source there is. When the power is out, the furnace is cold, and the house is chilling down. Sometimes your best move is to huddle up, seal off one room, layer clothing, hang blankets, and let the heat you already produce work for you. Imagine this. It's late. The storm knocked out power earlier. Your home is dropping in temperature. You bring everyone, family, pets, into one room, put on your warm clothes, hang heavy blankets over doors and windows, shut off unused spaces, and you all gather together. The combined body heat starts raising that room's temperature. It becomes your warm zone. According to building science, proper insulation slows heat loss significantly so that your room stays noticeably warmer than the rest of the house. The U.S. Department of Energy explains that insulation resists heat flow and makes your home more thermally efficient. Here's the key point. The less space you're trying to heat, the more impactful body heat becomes. You reduce the volume, close off the space, minimize drafts, and then your bodies become the heater. Even in cold conditions, keeping everyone together could easily keep the temperature 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit higher in that zone compared to an uninsulated, drafty room. While I didn't find a US-specific stat exactly stating, warm zones stay 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit warmer, we find repeatedly in survival guides that smaller sealed spaces maintain heat longer and let occupants stay warmer. It's an instinctive move, but in prepping, instinct plus planning is power. Hang blankets over doors, cover windows with thick curtains or blankets, move furniture away from outside walls, keep pets close, layer up. This isn't about fancy tech. It's about human warmth and smart design. While others search for fuel, you're already in your warm zone, breathing easier, staying alert, being sharper because you're warm enough. When every heater fails, your own team and your team's heat might just be your best gear. In the end, prepping isn't always about gadgets and gizmos. It's often about the basics, using what you have, keeping it simple, staying together. So when the worst hits, you won't just be surviving. You'll be comfortable, alert, and ready.